I had a great time on the mission trip to Maine. I really liked serving the community, and I think that they served me, if not more, than I served them. One of the experiences that I had on this mission trip was on Tuesday night, we had a speaker, and his name was Joel, and he majored in religion, and he had been traveling in the Middle East and in Europe, spreading God's word. And he shared with us what I think is the best way to talk to the Muslim population about Christianity. In Maine, there was a 10 to 15% Somalian Hindu population, and he talked about how the Hindu faith, the Judaism, and Christianity all shared the same aspect of the kingdom of heaven, and how if you want to talk to them about the Bible, you shouldn't bring up the stories of the Bible at first. You should talk about the kingdom of heaven. And then he talked about how you should not put the Bible on the table, and instead let them put the Bible on the table by asking you about what Jesus said about the kingdom of heaven. And it really opened my eyes, and I couldn't wait to learn more about what he had talked about. And I had always thought before that I wanted to learn more about apologetics, but every time I brought myself to, I would research, then I would think to myself, this isn't going to work on anyone, because no one's just going to take my hard facts and make that change their religion, because I wouldn't let that happen to me. So with this new way, I feel like I can maybe change someone's life. Thank you.
A couple of weeks ago today, I was just arriving in Lewiston, Auburn, Maine after a long 17-hour car ride. When we got out of our cars at our destination, I thought to myself, okay, we're here, now I guess it's time to work. Little did I know that it wouldn't be me working with the community of Lewiston, Auburn, but it would be them and God working on me to change many things about myself that I didn't even know needed to be changed. For example, I think God was working on and through me with the kids at a youth organization in downtown LA called Tree Street. The first day my team Hope and I arrived there, we met with the leader of the organization, Julia. She gave us an explanation of everything they did at Tree Street. She told us that majority of the kids there were Somalian and Muslim. This made me feel nervous about working there more than I already was, because I am a quiet person by nature, and I didn't think being white and Christian would help my chances to connect with these kids. But once I met with them, my fears faded away. I was amazed that these kids wanted to know more about me and wanted to be best friends right away. One little girl, whose name was Samaya, came right up to me and smiled. She told me her name and asked if I would hold her hand as they walked out to recess. After playing, I doubt this little girl knew it, but she had just made me the happiest person in the world by saying that. After playing and talking with all the kids at recess and throughout the rest of the day, I realized that they were just kids who wanted someone to give them attention and play with them. With those kids, there was never a dull moment. They kept me busy and laughing with them the whole time. I was happy to find out later that day when the teenagers came in that they were just as fun and accepting as little kids. I remember especially these two 8th grade girls named Lumina and Fortuna, who came right up to Cindy, Katie, Maddie, and I and just started talking to us. I remember that they were especially amazed by Cindy's blonde hair. When we were done working at Tree Street for the week, even though I was incredibly sad to leave, I felt like God really had had a hand in my experience there. I think that through those kids, He wanted me to realize that things like acceptance, personality traits, and outside differences should not hold you back from loving and caring for all of His people. This trip also changed my perspective on F.U.E.L as a whole. I feel like before the trip, even though we were all connected through our relationship with God, we were still in some ways separate. God changed that. On the trip, I feel like He connected us through the people we met in LA and the experiences we had there. I think He even went the extra mile and helped us connect with the people of Calvary Youth Group as well. I don't think I'll ever be able to forget the sense of unity I felt when both youth groups, F.U.E.L and Calvary, would sing and sway with their arms around each other's shoulders when we sang songs of praise to the Lord. The major thing that helped F.U.E.L connect as a whole, though, was definitely the foot washing ceremony. After that, I felt like F.U.E.L truly did stand for its name, Friends United in Everlasting Love. Lastly, I just wanted to thank you, the congregation, for helping F.U.E.L to have had this wonderful experience with the community of LA and God. This experience has been life-changing, and there's no doubt I will be going again next year. Thank you so much. Will the ushers please come forward? No? No? Never mind.
My name is Randy Parsons, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to have been led by God and invited by Shane Borchers to participate in this experience. My role was a little different. I am not one of the regular adult leaders, so my perspective might be a little bit unique. Grateful for a couple things. One thing, I had the quiet car. My kids like to read. They told me to turn the radio down, and so after a 17-hour drive, that was a blessing. Also grateful that Doug Carley does not snore, because he slept right next to me in a very crowded room. But the true key blessings, I think, one thing I'd like to emphasize, being kind of new in the, with the youth group affiliation on this trip, is how blessed we are to have had the leadership and have the leadership of Shane Borchers in this program, the wonderful things he's done with these students, the role model that he provides. It's absolutely amazing. The way he talks to them, the way he listens to them, the way he reaches out to them, and vice versa. I'm also so blessed to have spent this week, with Doug Carley and Lisa Deerling and Cindy Nutt, and then of course to have Jody Lynch back at home praying for us. It was a blessing to be part of this team. I learned a lot. I'm going to shorten this up. I think one of the key learnings that I took away from this is that we as adults learn from young people. And what I learned was renewing, in that not only did they go to Maine and be well behaved, which I sort of expected and knew that they would, not only were they compliant and did what they were supposed to do, but like Shane said, they knocked it out of the park. They went above and beyond. Can we stay later? Can we do more? Can we get up earlier? Can we be true servants of Jesus Christ in this effort? And it was a real joy for me. Thank you.
I would like to read something from 1st and 2nd Corinthians. Now about spiritual gifts, brothers, I do not want you to be ignorant. You know that when you were pagans, somehow or other you were influenced and led astray to mute idols. Therefore I tell you that no one who is speaking by the Spirit of God says, Jesus be cursed, and no one can say Jesus is Lord, except by the Holy Spirit. There are different kinds of gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different kinds of service, but the same Lord. There are different kinds of working, but the same God works all of them in all men. Now to each one the manifestation of the Spirit is given for the common good. To one there is given through the Spirit the message of wisdom, to another the message of knowledge by means of the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another gifts of healing by that one Spirit, to another miraculous powers, to another prophecy, to another distinguishing between spirits, to another speaking in different kinds of tongues, and to still another the interpretation of tongues. All these are the work of one and the same Spirit, and he gives them to each one just as he determines. And this is from 2 Corinthians. Remember this, whoever sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and whoever sows generously will also reap generously. Each man should give what he has decided in his heart to give, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that in all things, at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. As it is written, He has scattered abroad his gifts to the poor, his righteousness endures forever. Now he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food will also supply and increase your store of seed, and will enlarge the harvest of your righteousness. You will be made rich in every way so that you can be generous on every occasion, and through us your generosity will result in thanksgiving to God. This service that you perform is not only supplying the needs of God's people, but is also overflowing in many expressions of thanks to God. Because of the service by which you have proved yourselves, men will praise God for the obedience that accompanies your confession of the gospel of Christ, and for your generosity in sharing with them and with everyone else. And in their prayers for you, their hearts will go out to you. because of the surpassing grace God has given you. Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift. I don't have anything written because I just didn't feel that it would be right, and that's just not my way. Now, some people may be able to plan it out and think ahead, but I feel that God's able to speak through me a lot more clearly if I don't have anything written. I kept this with me through the entire trip. I never left my side. It was always in my pocket, or if I didn't have a pocket, it was in my waistband or in my hand, and I was looking at it, reading it, and there was one verse that stuck out at me throughout the entire trip, and it was John 10, 11 through 30, and I'm just going to read just John 10, 11. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. And that entire thing I read through it over and over again throughout the entire trip. It shows how to be a teacher, to be a leader, you not only have to help those along, not only have to help them back on the path, but you have to be willing to sacrifice all that you have. And I don't know about you, but I'm not good at that. I like my comforts, I like where I am, and most of the time I'm not willing to sacrifice what I have. But this trip, it wasn't that we were taken away. It wasn't that they took a week out of our summer so that we could serve. We were given a week to make our path to God and our relationship with God that much stronger. And I think I can speak for everyone here that we learn to love each other, learn to love the people there, and we learn to love each and every one of you just a little bit more. Thank you.
My name is Colin, and I'm going to be going into the senior high youth group. And probably the most unique part about this trip was the fact that we got to just help everyone there, and all the kids that we helped. And at the root cellar, a place where my group and the security group went to help we helped clear out a path and build steps so that the kids didn't have to go down this steep hill. And there was, I don't know, a couple of stories that a couple kids broke ankles going down that other hill. So we built in the steps, and we had probably about 8 to 10 kids helping us build the steps without asking for money, just helping and having a great time. And also my car with Doug was a lot more different than Randy's. Our car was never quiet unless I wanted to sleep, because I made everyone be quiet if I wanted to sleep. So. Which was like 2 times, but other than that, we had our little theme song, one of my remixes that I did. We called it the Pac-Man song. We listened to that for probably a total of 7 hours out of that 17-hour trip. And every time we got in the car to go somewhere for an evening activity, we just blast that song all the way, and we would show all the youth leaders it, and we did the Crazy Train a cappella thing that we rehearsed for a whole hour. And I felt like we were all, like everyone in the youth group was just connected as a big family that whole week, and just God was working in everyone to help and serve Him. And like what Brock said, we wanted to go. We did not have to go. We were not forced to. We wanted to go. We wanted to use that week to do good and to learn and to be good disciples. And the thing I tried doing the most is to love all, help all, and pray for all. So, thank you.
Okay, so this was hard enough to do at the 8:15 service when there were 15 people in the congregation. But I think that I can speak for everybody when I say that I'm not a perfect person, and neither is anybody here in this congregation, but when I say that I'm not a perfect person, I'm really not a perfect person. My parents are sitting in the audience and they can attest to that. But I was scared that during the mission trip, when I first got there, that the only thing that I would learn while I was there was how to dye your hair red using Kool-Aid. Thanks, Liz. But the thing that I learned the most was that I didn't deserve anything that God has given me. He died for me, and I don't understand why to this very day, because I sometimes don't understand how God could love people like us, but He does. And the longer that the week went on, the more that I realized that being there wasn't for us. It wasn't for our glorification of F.U.E.L. It wasn't for us to stand there and be like, oh, yay, we're so great. No. We served God because we didn't deserve what He did for us, but He did it anyway, and serving Him for a week was the least that we could do to thank Him.
Hi, my name is Lisa Dearling, and I'm one of the junior high leaders for the F.U.E.L youth group. We had an amazing experience, as you're hearing about and seeing in the video. The theme for the Youth Works trips this summer was "You Are Here," and to me that meant you are here in whatever state any of us are in, all our talents, all our hardships, the things we were going through in our lives, and we were in that moment, and we were meant to put all our differences aside and put all our hardships behind us for the time being and just live in the moment and see what God wanted us to do that day. And every day our groups were presented with different opportunities, different challenges, and our youth, as everyone has said, has far exceeded anyone's expectations. Whatever they were asked to do, whatever they were called to do that day, they did it, and they did it with love. And they grew closer to God and with each other and with us through that whole experience. And what struck me the most was the way everyone connected, not only with our smaller groups, but F.U.E.L as a whole, and the community, and the other people on the mission trip. And the best example of that was Doug Carley's group went. There was a facility called the Root Cellar, and they service like the Somali youth during the day, and they can go there and have safe things to do and food. And there was a big hill that Colin had mentioned that they needed to have a safe way to get to the playground down below that you couldn't even see. And Doug's group went in and they cleared a path and they built stairs, which our group would have not been able to do. And then our group came in the next day and cleared a path so you could see down to the playground. And while I was standing on the hill and I was looking at the stairs that the other group had built, and I was looking at the youth in my group cutting down trees, and I was looking at the youth in Shane's group, holding hands with the youth, the Somali kids there, and playing sports, and I just realized that everyone had a different gift and a different thing that they can offer, and something that God has given them that they can use together. And that was what really struck me about the whole thing. So we have some youth here that want to share a little bit of their experience, so thank you.
Hi, my name is Rachel. Maine was amazing for me because I learned a very important lesson about my faith. Before Maine, I often wondered if my relationship with God was good enough, and I wondered if I was really a Christian or if that was just a label I put on myself. And during Maine, I found that answer. First, the kids taught me that I don't need to worry about this and that I can just have fun. And second, the foot washing ceremony was really important to me, and it was great because we were all united as F.U.E.L. But when people were praying for me over and over again, they would tell me that, in some sort of way, they would tell me that I admire you for your faith in Jesus. And hearing this from everyone just gave me that reassurance about me and my faith. And I want to share a little story with you that I had with a little boy named Akeem. When I was at the Root Cellar, he came up to me one day and he told me that he knew someone who had a crush on me. And I asked him who it was, and he replied that the little boy in the black and red and green hat did. He continued telling me he knew another person who also had a crush on me, and again I asked him who it was. He replied, me, and ran away embarrassed. I admire Keem for how honest and carefree he was. Whenever I was nervous about the kids, he came right up and cheered me up. I will never ever forget Maine. Thank you.
Okay, I'm just gonna sort of talk about some of the stuff I experienced over the week. So when we got there, we met the Youth Works leaders, Cassie, Zach, David, and Brooke. And these are like awesome people, avid God lovers, and they're just so exuberant and happy. And then the Calvary Chapel people arrived after us, and when they got here, when they got there, we were just awed by the size of them, because they had 42 people, I'm thinking, and they were a lot younger than us. They had people in middle school, going into middle school, so it was kind of, we had to relate to them in ways that were different than last year, because last year a lot of the people were in high school and older than me, so I had to look up to them. But this year I was a role model to them, and that was good. Some of the people I met from Calvary Chapel were my friends Lorenzo, Ashlyn, and Noah, and they were in my group Life and Death, and they were just awesome friends. We worked at the Root Cellar, and we played some pretty awesome soccer games, and I came away from that dust field covered in grime, and it was pretty gross. But I had a lot of fun with the kids there, and on Thursday when I was at the Root Cellar, I stopped playing soccer for a little bit to go do crafts with the girls, Somali girls, and I drew a picture of Noah's Ark for this little girl named Uba, and I asked her if she knew what it was, and she didn't respond, and I told her it was Noah's Ark, and I asked her if she had ever heard the story, and she hadn't heard the story, and I know it's part of their faith because I heard it during the talk we got from Joel, which my brother Lucas talked about. And that was just one of the moments that really struck me. It told me that we're not so different, but they don't know a lot that we know. So I was happy to share the story of Noah's Ark with her.
Hi, my name is Allison Dearling, and my experience on this mission trip was life-changing, and it furthered my relationship with God. It opened my eyes to the different cultures and religions that are in the U.S. alone, and throughout the week, I really saw God work through all of us that went, and the Calvary Chapel people that came. And I remember meeting one little girl named Ikra at the Root Cellar the days that we were there. And she couldn't talk, but while she followed me around throughout the day, different children would come up to me saying that they were her cousin, her brother, her sister, or just a family friend. And I thought it was so neat how they were all connected in some little way. And my favorite experience would have to be the foot washing ceremony. I felt the love and God with us during the ceremony, and F.U.E.L was really united by it. And this trip was truly amazing, and it's a great experience that I will never forget.
Maine was a life-changing experience for me. I really loved helping the kids at Kids Unleashed, which was a summer camp at the church that we were staying at, and it had over 300 kids attend it, and I really loved interacting with them and getting to know them. I also loved the Root Cellar, which was a place for the Somalian kids to go during the day, and my group finished clearing off the hill that was next to the building, which was covered in small trees, and you couldn't see the park that was at the bottom, and they wanted us to clear it out so you would be able to see the park. And Doug's group that went before us really helped by putting the steps in, because we had to pull up the trees and it was really hard. When we were cutting down the trees, a boy that was about 15 came over and helped us, and his name was Nusa, and he was a big help, and he seemed thrilled to be helping us. And a bunch of other kids came while we were working. They helped us, and they were a big help. I felt like F.U.E.L was united as one during the foot washing ceremony, and it was a great experience. I also felt like God was with us all week, and it really made this week a great experience.
Hello. I just want to start off by saying thank you to all the leaders, Shane, Doug, Lisa, Cindy, and Randy. We couldn't have done it without them. They've put so much hard work into this. And thank you for all you for praying for us and just all your encouragement to us. On this mission trip, I really felt I got closer to God and all the F.U.E.L members. And I think my favorite part was the foot washing. It just hit me because just to see how united F.U.E.L is, I've never realized how close we are, but then when you look at us all praying for each other and hovering over each other and just loving each other, crying, that it was just awesome to see. And I think we all need to thank God for this day and that we woke up today and that He gave us this even though we don't deserve it. Thank you.
My name's Doug. We were really blessed on this trip. The things that our youth did were quite incredible. Shane talked about knocking it out of the park, and it's not an understatement. We know our kids in F.U.E.L, and we know how much they expect God to challenge them. And we, as leaders, met before the other church of twice the size of us got there, and we were like, okay, we're getting all the projects that are the most difficult. We are stealing them for God, for us to accomplish this. And we didn't feel greedy at all for doing that. We just knew our kids needed challenge. And I think that they deserve a round of applause for all the hard work they did. The sweat, the tears, the joy that they shared on this trip with each other, with the Somalian population, which felt like a foreign mission trip that some of us in the community here in our church have been on. We really felt blessed. We didn't really feel like we were in Maine. I grew up in Maine, and I didn't even recognize it. It was just a totally different experience for me. The one great thing that I experienced on the trip was being able to see God in the living sacrifice that all the youth were experiencing. I saw God through Sarah playing with and engaging in a craft with a small child and making this little clothespin clip guy that was during the VBS that they were having at the church. I experienced it with some of you may saw the longer haired boy, and a few of the youth referred to him as Hakeem. Cute kid, awesome, full of energy. And we were, as you heard, clearing a hill at the Root Cellar, and I would take a lopper, which is for cutting bigger branches, and we were using it for cutting too big of a branch sometimes. But these kids were like really engaging with us, and these little Somali kids, and they were like, we want to help, we want to be a part. And I loved how they talked and their accent and everything. It was just incredible just to see how much they want to be here. They love this country. They love Somalia, but it's war-torn, and they are over here because of refugees. And their love for just being around us was really encouraging and helped us. So I would take these loppers, and I would have like Hakeem or one of the other kids come over and get in between my arms and use the loppers with me. And together we would squeeze those loppers, and they would feel such a sense of accomplishment because they just cut a branch that was bigger than their leg. So it was really encouraging to see the community coming together. The blessing of looking down that hill from the top. That hill was as steep as if you go out the sanctuary and go right by the edge of the building. It's as steep as that hill that we have on the side of the church, and it was full of trees, as you heard. And it was tough work, and our kids were up to the challenge, and we really are blessed to have such a strong community of people in our schools and just giving us energy to love the Lord. Thank you.